ARESxGOD here, and it's time to talk about Vinland Saga. And honestly, things keep getting more and more interesting for the farm, but also at the same time getting worse and worse, especially after we had last episode, which felt like the turning point for season 2. This one feels a bit like a subplot to the main overall story, but a very important one, especially for the farm with what we've seen right now happening. And we have a character that I didn't think was gonna take this much of a forefront, honestly, and I'm very pleasantly surprised with this episode, going more into the history of Arnheid, and she has a very big role to play in this episode. So let's get into it and talk about it. Now, at the beginning of the episode, it starts straight with burning, death. We see the murder happening there, very gruesome beginning of the episode right at the start there, and somebody pleading for their lives, which we later find out his Kaljar. I'm sorry, I tried to pronounce that name properly. I'm just gonna call him Carl, honestly. I'm very bad with names, as you guys know. But that was a very interesting scene that we saw right there. Felt like a revolt of the slaves, or trying to revolt, going free, but it's just a unique case, or is it, at least so far? I'm curious if Canute had a hand in this, if was just a random thing that happened at the perfect time right now, considering with everything that is going on. And we see the pain, the revenge, the gruesomeness of it that's happening, because being a slave, we've seen it so far, not everybody gets treated as good as Thorfinn and Einar have gotten treated, but even then, at the end of the day, you're still a slave. So going and doing something like this, getting your chance to be free, I don't know, it's not something you can't even imagine being in that position. But also at the same time committing the atrocity that this guy did over here, murdering the owner's family, and even saying that's not enough when the master there, Carl, was trying to grovel for his life, pleading for his life, trying to say I'll do everything and saying sorry, but the dude, we find out later his name Gardar, that's not enough, I'll take even more and try being a slave for once. And all that pain, revenge, everything bottled up throughout the years or however long he has been a slave came to the surface. But the curious thing that happened, Kaldari actually agrees to swap roles there, which is very understandable. When you're in that position, you're gonna grovel, you're gonna say do anything just to save your life, and agreeing to become the slave, and even kisses his feet there. And I knew where it was leading, because by the face and reaction and actions Gardar was doing there when he said your life is now mine now, I'm paraphrasing a bit, now that you are the slave, that means I get to decide when you live and when you die. And he actually kills Carl there and says now I must go get her. So he has a mission, a plan, a goal moving forward. Now I'm curious, how did he get free? Did he just suddenly decide now is the time for freedom, murdering the family there, the kids, the wife, what happened there? That's a bit too much, even though considering that even find out a bit later on that the slaves were treated pretty decently there. So yeah, while I understand that, still going after the family, it's a bit way too much. So later on we're gonna find out who he goes after. That's gonna be very important. But after that it cuts off and we get back to life on the farm, and we see here the conversation, Thorfinn and Einar thinking what they're gonna do once they're gonna be free, especially Thorfinn asking Einar what he plans to do. And Einar even considers for a bit Kettle's offer for them to stay there to work on the farm, which is a pretty decent offer if I do say so myself. But what stuck with me, it's something very important that Einar said, saying he lived too long as a slave, so it's hard for him to make a choice right now. That's very important, because even in shitty situation, humans in general get used to it, be it bad, really bad situation, you acclimate to it, it becomes your life, and it's very hard to change something like that. Even something very minor that becomes a routine or a habit, it's very hard to change. And being as a slave, it kind of becomes part of you, which having that freedom, even though you know it's there, it's still not something you can totally grasp it. And I really liked that concept there when he said it. So he's still struggling with the choice on what to do, maybe even thinking to stay on the farm, and saying he wants to maybe try and free Arnheid, and he's still very much in love there, even gets a bit teased by Thorfinn. I really like how much Einar cares for her, but things are not looking good for that future that he has in mind. We're gonna get to that. Now, one of the other characters I really liked in this episode and overall in the series is Snake. And while they were heading back there for Sverkel, Snake comes rushing out of Sverkel's house saying, "Where are you, old man? Where are you, old man?" Losing his mind, looking for him, saying he's not back, and the reason why he was so in a rush, he needed food. He was starving there without Sverkel. But things quickly go from comedic side with Snake to serious when he gets very worried and tries to go for the farm and tells Einar and Thorfinn to follow him, and they find Sverkel collapse in the fields there. They take him home. Thankfully he wasn't dead, but he was sick. Old age, sickness, everything, overwork. He's very old also, so it makes sense. They even try to take care of him, put him in bed, but it's something very hard for a person like Sverkel that has worked all his life to accept that age has caught up to him, and he's not able to do things that he could previously do alone, even though he was a very man's man that always worked these things for himself. He was always in the field there. He even tried to pour himself some water, he couldn't. So he's very sick, but also all that at the same time, and even contemplating his life, saying he's not gonna die in the fields, he's gonna die in bed. A bit of regret there. Now we have Arnheid coming in at the orders of Ketil's wife, if I remember correctly, to take care of him. And I really liked Arnheid this episode. It felt really nice to see her being happy for a change, and all of them. She started cooking like actual proper food, like a feast over there for all of them, and they were more than impressed. Snake, Einar and Thorfinn. They started stuffing their face there, gobbling everything they could. So it felt like life on the farm was pretty relaxed and chill, and even had quite a few comedic scenes this episode, especially with Sverkel refusing to have food over the no, I'm not hungry, of course I'm not hungry, but Snake called him out on his budget, saying he is embarrassed to be fed. And Thorfinn had a small laugh over there, but he quickly, no, I didn't laugh when Sverkel said, "Did you laugh?" But at the same time, while he was in denial, saying he's not hungry, his stomach betrayed him, and all of them bursting in laughter was a really nice, wholesome scene to have there for that moment between them. And having dinner, it felt like freedom for all of them, especially for Einar and Thorfinn there. And after that, even the conversation with Einar outside with Arnheid helping her, saying they laughed, it felt like a moment of freedom, reminding the old days there. But things are still reality, so to say, and we have folks rushing in, showing up, telling Snake what happened with the runaway slave from Karl, and the murder that happened there, the atrocity, and saying there's a 3-horse bounty. But I really like how Snake handled that situation. Even if you find him, be careful, call for backup, take your time, don't rush things. We have to be careful about this, precautious, everything. He seems like a comedic character, but when things get serious, he also gets very serious. And this is why I like Snake quite a lot. And knowing that a wounded animal is very dangerous, referring to Gardar, and we're gonna get to that because his worries proved to be very correct with Fox, Badger, and Lizard, three of them finding Gardar sleeping near a tree there, and Badger and Lizard going to bickering mode, being very, very loud, and Fox there, please keep your voice, keep your voice. I knew where he was leading because those two were being idiots. Fox tried his best, he screamed, and then Gardar comes in above them and attacks. We don't get to see the fight, we just find out the result, what happened after, and I'm gonna get to it. When we have back at the farm, Einar chopping wood, Arnheid taking care of the clothes, washing there. But another very important moment that happened here, while Einar was chopping wood, hey Thorfinn, I need you to carry this, help me with this. Thorfinn said, I need a moment. He was eavesdropping on Snake reading the Bible to Sverkel inside the house. Now, what's very interesting, also what was read in the Bible kind of relates a bit to Canute and Thorfinn, if you pay attention, the differences between them, their goals, their different paths they're going there. But also very curious that Snake is able to read during that time. Not very many people are able to read, which kind of gets me even more interested. Who is Snake? What exactly he is? How he's able to read? How is he so good at fighting? I'm also really curious what's gonna happen between him and Thorfinn, especially when all hell is probably gonna break loose with Canute's plan and everything that has been set into motion. And I really think that Snake is one of the most interesting characters we have in Vinland so far. But this is where we also see Sverkel kind of went a bit senile or in denial, also wanting to still go to work despite his current condition. He falls from the bed, even pees himself, but they take care of him quite a lot, especially Arnheid. And Snake cares about Sverkel, even though he said he only wants that book when Sverkel dies. I still think he cares about Sverkel, and even tells Thorfinn and Einar he's gonna die very soon, so make sure you pay your respects while you still can. So this is why I'm very curious about Snake here. Now, after all of that, we even have we see Gardar on the horse, and Snake realizes that it's not one of his men. Then Fox and Badger behind him, chasing him, saying that he killed the Lizard. So Lizard kind of caused his own death there, but it's gonna have huge ramification, and the ending is a huge cliffhanger because Arnheid knows him. The reaction she had when she saw him and started screaming Gardar, and that's when we find out his name, her husband. And I was like, okay, things just got very interesting right now, because remember what he said, now I must go get her. He was probably after Arnheid. So yes, this complicates things quite a lot on the farm, and even more for Einar, because he's not gonna be able to get what he wants since she's married, and also complicates her situation because of what Gardar did and what he's probably gonna do. I'm really curious what's going to happen next week, because of course we have the main plot, and now this thing, right, the real thing that happened between humans right now, their lives, everything, reality, life, death, and love is very important theme. And I highly recommend, this makes so much more sense right now. Highly recommend watching Igak's video and interview with the creator of Vinland Saga. This is literally the theme of this episode: life, love, and death. This has been again an awesome episode, and I can't wait for the next one. The cliffhanger is amazing, but we're gonna have to wait for next week. And I'm really curious what you guys thought about the episode. What do you think about Gardar? What's going to happen on the farm? So yeah, let me know down in the comments below, and as always, thank you very much for watching. Remember to like and subscribe, helps me quite a lot, and you guys get the latest news on the series that I follow. So also make sure you check out the podcast, because anime. Keep enjoying Vinland Saga. I'm gonna see you again in the next one. Bye bye.